Hello, everybody. I hope you are having a fantastic day, night, whenever you're deciding to watch this broadcast. Some of us on the NA, some of us on the EU, and all around the planet. We are kind of uniting around to watch Overwatch. I welcome you back as we are here with Week 10 and two amazing teams continuing to fight it out, trying to see who's going to be able to get that edge. I'm using _intel, your play-by-play caster here, joined by the, I gotta say, very beautiful worst cast. How are you doing, my man?
Doing great. Ready to watch some more collegiate Overwatch here tonight. We're going to be starting it out with Siena College versus St. Peter's University. I had the pleasure of casting St. Peter's University last week as they went up against Fairfield
Ooh.
University. Not so good for them. They got 3-0'd in that match against Fairfield, who was predicted to be lower than them in the standings. But to their credit, Fairfield's first schedule, their early schedule was rough. They had, I believe, the top four teams, I think, all in there.
Oh.
It was a rough schedule for Fairfield, so their ranking and standing and power level was not quite matched up. So St. Peter trying to get back from that kind of a thrashing last week and get back into and bounce back against Siena, who is in a similar situation to last week where they are low in the standings, but you never know. Like last week, they learned you just never know.
Hey, you make it a very great point as well, especially when of all the maps, we're going to be starting out on, the one that everybody loves. It's by far the favorite control point. That's going to be Lijiang Tower. And I think after a moment when these teams have had kind of a break, especially St. Peter's, who have, as you said, gone up against some very big teams. And so now as they're going in, they're definitely going to just kind of need to push a little bit harder than necessary to kind of bring up their record. We may be seeing them kind of shine a little more than expected.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people kind of have this idea of Lijiang. It's a very balanced map in terms of variety of things you can run. A lot of variety that comes in on compared to Control Center to Gardens. Although you can kind of hard force one style. I mean, you can hard force rush the entire 3 points if you want. You can also hard force fair ball comps or echo ball comps all 3 points if you want. That's generally kind of how it goes. There's those two styles that dominate, and each one has kind of a favored on each map until you get to Night Market, where it's like a 50-50 on execution wise. So that's kind of why Lijiang is considered a very strong map for a very good map, because it is very balanced. But we'll be seeing what these two teams want. St. Peter's in particular really did love that rush style, so I am
Hmm.
assuming we're going to see more of that.
You said the word balance, and I'll give you credit. Balance is what Lijiang Tower really is. I definitely feel that the team with the better, more coordination is always going to win, but I personally feel, and this is my personal feeling, whichever team prefers to just hit that W is going to win more often than not. I mean, let's be real. Lijiang Tower does not give love to any team that likes to hit the S key, that likes to play a little bit slower. You already said it. The Wrecking Ball, the Six Man. There are so many styles to Lijiang Tower, but all of it relies on just kind of pushing in and especially looking for these early kills. And I mean, when you have a Siena, they have players like CPT Kill, OG, CJ Paul, who have been kind of starring players throughout this, this semester. And I gotta say that continuing in, I'm going to be looking at St. Peter's to see how they try to work on it.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see kind of how the matchup goes in here. What ends up coming out of this first map, I think it'll tell us a lot about these teams, about what they want to do, what they want to be trying to do throughout the entire match. Um, Generally, control can be a very good indicator for certain maps. Can be a very good indicator for what a team prefers, because they will start running
Mhm.
styles on maps that are kind of 50-50 on the style that you can run. And so whichever way they lean tends to be the way they're going to lean the entire series. So we'll be seeing what these two teams decide to roll out on Night Market. We could see the Sim Rush, but like I said, also Farah, very popular on this point as well. And this kind of will give us an insight into what these teams are thinking.
I absolutely agree. Though, being on this specific point of all things Control Center, uh, everybody just really prefers that teleporting strategy. I mean, we have seen a lot of teams try to diversify how they play, whether that be going on to the Wrecking Ball with a Far Mercy or just choosing to play as fast as possible. I think we have different ideas and strategies. However, with this being so fundamental, I think it's just really easy to tell, well, not easy, but like it's going to be very obvious on who's going to be able to break through first.
Yeah. And so this is going to kind of really come down to how this TP rollout does end up occurring. And especially with that Junkrat on the side of Siena, this could be very dangerous for St. Peter's as they roll out of that TP if they don't immediately hit that DM on that Junkrat and kind of focus them down. TPs are going to go out a little bit at the same time, but St. Peter's a little bit faster.
Yeah, I mean, they're having to play on this point, but look at the problem. They weren't able to fully unite. Penguin is going to be picked off, and the rest of the team just having to move forward. Siena, they have pure control over this point. Now, this is where we are going to be seeing their opponents kind of more retreat, take a step back. However, they are being staggered, especially with their Symmetra. It's a poor fact, but they just have to regroup.
Yep, the regroup is going to have to come in, and it's going to be a lot of pain, really, to try and retake this point if you're Siena with this composition. There it is. I was going to say, you can start swapping over to the Pharah, but I want to see kind of a disengage right now. You don't have your Pharah with you. You don't have the resources to push in. This Pharah in this fight is going to be the weakest they'll ever be until they full swap this composition. So right now, try to get as much value as you can, but I don't know if you're going to win this fight with the split comp.
I definitely feel it's very different ideas of how to push in, and already that damage is coming out. They do have a DC, and that's not even going to look well. Now, Siena just have full rights to be able to control this point, especially when you're down a healer. It's really not going to be working as well. They seem to just be waiting on some type of pause or anything, as nobody really wants to go in. Eventually, it is going to land, but this is going to be a bigger problem in the future as, well, St. Peter's, they have a lot of ways to kind of counteract this fight, while I feel Siena don't really have anything to kind of bring this back in.
Yeah, it'll be kind of weird to see how they kind of push in here, because how their tanks and supports want to play is very fast. They want to play, go in, get their value off. How the DPS want to play Junkrat and Pharah, they want to play slower. They want to start poking out. They want to start getting their value incremental over time. That's not going to happen. Those two styles are not going to happen at the same time. You're going to have to commit to one, either just full send it with your Junkrat and your Pharah, or keep playing this slow game. But I don't think it's going to really work out for you. This Cassidy has been, for the majority of the time, untouched. There's really been no pressure on them. These projectiles are not coming in and hitting him. They're not pressuring him down. So what he's able to do is full pressure their Pharah. Their Pharah doesn't have a pocket, doesn't have the kind of confidence because of that lack of immediate healing on them. It has to wait for the Baptiste to come through. It is not peeking, is not finding the angles on this Cassidy, and that's just going to mean you're going to lose the long fight. So they have to do something.
I definitely agree, but more importantly, I think this ult economy is just kind of not in the favor of one side. I mean, if we just take a look, they're just staying out. They're waiting for their Baptiste to return. And I think that's going to be a big problem. Ratchet's already dangerously low, not having a Mercy to peel in. Though the sound barrier can be very big, they're having a lot of issues when it comes to walking in on the point, eventually wanting to overstep their boundaries, but that window is there. Thankfully, the Riptide are able to catch out too. With the sound barrier, they have more than enough room to go out. Combined with the barrage, it's a little bit set it over, but the 3K bomb managing to bring this fight back before it's too dangerous. Though the boop onto Ace is going to be a big benefit, it's not really going to be enough, as the supports are the only ones left alive. Worse, as we see, Siena, they have to try to bring their fight back in. They don't really have the response compared to the teleporter. As we see St. Peter's starting to return in. This is going to be a messy fight, but the ultimates are there. CPT falling down very quickly. Ace in a terrible spot, but having this shatter is looking just to be able to place it out. Get set Immortality is going to be able to be safe for a little bit longer, combined with the sound barrier, managing to get that charge onto the Reinhardt, blasting them far away. No longer going to be working well as the fight takes place back onto the point, but it's all over for the side of Siena, not having the time, the players, the ults to be able to save themselves. A really good chance, however, it was not enough.
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of the perfect situation for Siena. They get value out of the tire. That's really all they can hope for. With the well-placed DM, that barrage isn't going to find much. So that was actually kind of the best push they could have had. They play slow for their ultimates on their Junkrat. The Junkrat gets value with it, 2 kills, in fact. But I mean, somehow Sethri just hits a 3-man bomb and just completely ruins any chance they had at taking that point effectively. And really, that can kind of be like painful if you're Siena, because you're like, oh, we had it, but we just kind of died to this bomb. I don't quite exactly know who messed up, or if there was even a mistake, or if it was just a really well-placed bomb, but that's going to sting going into this round. But you have to just kind of reset, and the Junkrat's definitely going to be, I think, a little bit more effective here, especially when you're playing it with that Mei, but the Mercy is a bit odd to me.
I'll definitely give you that. I can understand the damage boost and the way they want to commit to this fight, but that big problem comes is they are not there first. The Mei is taking a lot of time to look for this wall, not able to get one as well as you truly want it. However, look at that. It is going to be mirrored in that sense. This is going to be one big poke of a fight. And look at that beautiful pick. They managed to find out Ace. Now, St. Peter's, they're at a big disadvantage as they don't have anybody blocking out this damage. We see just the entirety of Siena wanting to move forward, Wall managing to split them off for a little bit, but it's not going to be doing too much now. Just looking to try. It seems that there might be a DC right here, but it seems CJ doesn't really kind of keep up with the data, falling down, not going to be able to come back as we see Siena looking to just to burst down. That res almost comes out, manages to get booped. We see CPT bringing it back for their squad. And look at that. That was incredibly close, but yet St. Peter's, they're being able to bring it back.
Yeah, a lot of it is kind of the initial setup. What happens there as the another ball is going to come through. Someone's having issues with their internet or computer, which happens all the time.
Yeah.
Just is what it is. And for right now, it's kind of with the things maybe okay. So kind of what happens there is on the setup, one team has a Lucio, gets out there with the Symmetra, gets out of spawn extremely quickly, takes that white room control, and it's going to be incredibly difficult with you, especially with that Mercy, to try and re-break back in there. You're going to have to go play main. You're going to have to try and poke out from main with a damage boost on your own Junkrat, try and get that through, try and get that down to break through with a little bit extra damage. But the positioning advantage is a little bit too much right there. They have the advantage on tempo since the very get-go because they have that Lucio. Their Reinhardt is able to play more freely because when he's under pressure, he has the ability to walk away, which is just not something that the other Reinhardt can do. He doesn't have Lucio speed to aid him out of any situation. So a bit unfortunate, especially when you're under so much spam from like a Junkrat. You really want to be able to walk behind cover and out of cover and into cover, which you can do with a Lucio, but you really can't do with a Mercy.
Honestly, you say it best. We said it very early on. Composition that is not very fast, Lijiang Tower really doesn't reward, and I think these are one of the better points. Though the DC did have a big effect to that fight, they weren't really able to rush into their opponents, try to immediately shut them down, and in the end, I mean, CPT shows you how that happens, just immediately ending kind of that fight, bringing it back, and now you're going to be on the back foot more than anything. I think the big question goes down to what is this Mercy really going to be doing for you in the long term? Valk is a good ability, but we're not on the experimental. I mean, it did just come out, but I think you're playing with the wrong type of game mode if you think it's going to be getting a lot of value. I definitely feel it'll be getting some good value, but you don't go to a restaurant that's good if you can go to one that's great.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing, right? Why have something that's okay when you can have the best in the game, the best composition in the
Mhm.
game? And I believe you were mistaken in the calling out the teams there. I believe the graphic was swapped, but because this was actually an issue that St. Peter's had before. This was an issue St. Peter's had before. They were trying to play Mercy a lot with rush compositions instead of the Lucio. Min Min
Mhm.
wasn't very confident on Lucio, it would seem. They were playing a lot of other characters, not opting in for that Lucio, but apparently they don't even have someone who can take up that role. Maybe they swap over to the BAP, maybe you get a Lucio from the other support. They don't even have that, so they're just running rush comps without a Lucio. And at that point, I believe from a team perspective, you just need to full commit to that style. If you don't have a player that's confident on Lucio or your team isn't confident around that Lucio play, you just need to full swap it. Don't even try to go rush. You're playing ball comps now. Good luck. Have fun.
Mhm.
Because that is just something that's going to complement that Mercy a lot better. You're playing Farah comps. You can probably play double shield Farah comps as well. Have the Baptiste in there if you don't want to play ball, if you don't have a good ball player. But just do something that complements that kind of style instead of trying to force rush with a Mercy. It's just not going to work. It's just worse than playing it with Lucio.
I very much can agree. I also just feel the wrecking ball composition. If you can run it, your team is basically indestructible. You are contenders ready if you can run that composition and run it well. That's definitely something that I'll be more looking at. But even then, I feel that's when you get a little bit more heroes to enable that kind of style. You don't have to stick with the Zarya. There's a Sigma who has very long reach, a good gravitic flux, does the eat like diva. I mean, I don't have enough fingers to talk about the possibilities and variations that you can run, but I definitely feel when it comes back to the engaging, they have to pop every ultimate, and I mean, that's something you do if you're desperate or you don't really have good ult tracking, so I think it's gonna be very worrying, comparably to their opponents when, St. Peter's can we just talk about all the characters that they have and how easily they match each other, and then the ultimates that they have? Debate me on this or not, but every ultimate on the side of St. Peter's can win a team fight just by itself. While on the other hand, none of them, while yes, can do very similar things, it's going to take a lot more resources to enable those wins.
Yeah, and I'm gonna be interested to see if the maps kind of evolve and help with the styles they're gonna run. Um, it's gonna depend a lot on certain maps. Do they continue to try and force the rush with the Mercy? I feel like they are trying to put themselves in situations where they are just running the wrong composition for what their team is comfortable with. And
Yeah.
if they don't fix that out, I mean, they still have plenty of time on the split to try and get back up there. I believe St. Peter's is 6-2 right now, so high up in the standings. But that, and this is not a slight against the Speeders. That might be because of weaker schedule. That might be because of other things. Like we saw them against Fairfield. They lost 3-0 despite Fairfield being way lower down. I think they were 1-6, 1-6 basically. So a lot of people counted them out, but that was just because their strength of schedule was so hard. They were playing a lot of the really strong conference
Hmm.
teams, and they looked worse for it. But they performed way better on the day, and they seem to have a lot more structure in their team, and they also had a lot more understanding of what their team wants to do. I think what's one of the biggest things is you play to your players, especially in the collegiate level. You're going to play to your players over playing to trying to fit the mold at all times, especially if your player can't fit that mold.
I mean, you're absolutely right. But I do think you missed one very important idea that goes down to the fundamentals, and that is going to be a player's Wi-Fi connection. I
Yeah.
mean, it's already showing right now. You can be the best player in the game. You can have the easiest lineup or the easiest games, but the moment somebody DCs, that's when the problems are going to start happening. And that's the reason why no one wants to play Overwatch 2 when it eventually comes out. 5v5, you're removing 2 slots. How rude of you. Well, technically 1 slot, but it's like 2. You get what I mean, Worst?
Yeah. Yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah.
You're just removing
Yeah,
two players
see?
from the game.
I'm a genius.
Yeah, that,
But
that line of thought I think would describe you as a genius, I
mm,
think. Yeah, I think everyone
mhm.
can agree.
Big
I
brain,
think
big
that's
brain. But I'm more going to be paying attention. I think to how these supports. Actually, no. I want to be seeing a lot more coming out of these tanks than anything. Deeper Men and Sellout. You know, I feel even though they're playing slowly and their composition may not be complementing each other, especially with the DPS, if they can protect their team or do some like godly things. I don't know, shatter a 6, bubble for protection. You'll be fine. You'll save yourself. We'll just have to see what they do, especially when we're going back into the fight, and it's already going to be a bit of a stagger. When Deeper Man gets picked off, they weren't ready. They were caught out with their pants down. We'll have to see what they do, kind of on this re-engagement.
Yep, and right now Sienna's is gonna be holding the choke hard. They have the ability to rotate and match St. Peter's, and what's really gonna be lacking here is even though Ratchet is gonna go fast right now, does their team have the follow-up capability?
That was a really nice immortality. However, they weren't ready against the Blizzard. They throw the bomb out solely as a way to kind of counterplay the. Look at that Riptide is going to be broken. Counterplay and the Fire Strike with the window just melts down, catches every squishy. I think players forget how strong that can be.
I think, yeah, and I mean a big portion of that is we aren't running D.Va, and D.Va's very good character, very strong character, because that whole combination, which is a very actually was for a long time a very big part of that composition of this rush style composition was that combination of the Fire Strike plus window. Kind of got mitigated a lot when they swapped over from the Orisa Rhine to the D.Va Rhine, and I mean Captain Kellogg is just dead to that shatter.
I mean, it's over 200 damage instantly. You can't even react to it as you used to. So now we do see St. Peter's. They have a moment to move further. Ace is going to be caught up by the wall, able to just barely block out. Has to shatter them. That could be a big point for an advantage, but they have to be extremely careful. They are split, and that shatter, it gets blocked out. They have the Riptire managing to find out too, and it seems that St. Peter's are going to be caught with their pants down. No longer going to work as a unit. They have less than 10 seconds or so just to be able to touch, and they are staggered.
If they're staggered, I don't believe a single player on their team can actually touch. Even if you swap ball here, because of that nerf that came in a while ago, where you don't have grapple for the first 6 seconds, yet you're not even going to be able to get a touch in right here. That's going to be Siena taking the first map 2-0. Very dominant fashion, I might say. And I think the problems are rearing their head once again for St. Peter's. Their inflexibility in their backline and their kind of the determination to keep running these considered meta compositions but without the meta characters has kind of proven has kind of for them come a hardship for them. It's been very difficult for them to try and play those styles when they just aren't playing the correct characters, and a lot of that stems from no Lucio. They definitely play a lot of Rush, and not having a Lucio doesn't help you with that. I believe we're going to Hollywood next. You don't have to play Rush on that map. Double shield, very strong. I want to kind of see them start moving over to a double shield kind of style, potentially a dive style if they need it, but that's definitely what I want to see from them because it fits what their players I think are comfortable on in terms of certain members of the team that are pivotal.
I'll give you that. I definitely feel, and the compositional difference showed in that last fight. I mean, we saw the fire strike and how strong it was. If you're not able to eat it, then it's just going to be going through a Zarya bubble or Ryan shield and into your backline, which in the end melts down. I think more than anything, I'm kind of worried about how St. Peter's are going to be able to adapt around, because you are exactly right when it comes down to our next map. We're going straight back. Well, not straight back, but we're going straight over to Hollywood. And of those types of maps, I think you said it best that this is going to work more in St. Peter's. I definitely feel that double shield, or in any sense, the way that you want to work it, I feel Hunter doesn't have to worry too much about their own inconsistent Wi-Fi as well when you're on kind of more of the defensive side, or if you're playing a little slower, I don't think you'll be punished as hard besides from your ult economy. It's still going to be a big issue. However, we can give them a little bit more respect and love. The DPS, they're going to be able to shine a bit more. I think Siena, they'll definitely have to play a lot more attention and be cautious of where they're standing.
Yeah, definitely got to keep track of that. I just need a lot of cohesiveness, and kind of one of the biggest things you can do if you're if you're like a mid-table to lower tier collegiate team, lower table collegiate team in terms of the standings right now. The biggest thing you can just work on just to make yourselves just beat a lot of teams in those standings, just being on the same page, just having 6 people all doing the same thing, because sometimes you're gonna have maybe 5 people doing the same thing, and one person is gonna maybe get a little antsy, gonna be like, guys, I want to get some dopamine right now. I'm going to flank. I need the dopamine right now. I'm going to flank, get the dopamine points, and get in there. And you can kind of punish that if you guys are just staying focused, staying together, staying disciplined. Discipline is so important. And even if you're mechanically less talented than other players that might be in the server, if you are just more cohesive, organized, disciplined than the other team, you just win. That's how Overwatch works. Like, you can, I mean, obviously, if there's like a top 500 Widowmaker on enemy team, sometimes that's just it. That's just how it is. That's just, it do be like that sometimes. But
fair point.
to be like that sometimes. I mean, if you ever played against Speedily, like sometimes your backline's dead. Okay, you're not gonna stop that. Speedily's gonna do that. He doesn't care. He doesn't care what you think. He doesn't care what you want. He's gonna kill them. He's gonna get that SR. But there's especially in collegiate, just be as six ape strong together is the name thing. Ape strong together. Yeah.
Yeah, it's my favorite of all the Overwatch phrases, especially for Winston. And you said it best. Cohesion is going to be the name of the game. Being on Hollywood of all points, this is that synergy rebuilding in. But we do get a moment to see how both of these teams are going to be working, especially with Siena. It looks like to be on the defensive rather than wanting to go onto the attack, so they want to be able to set up that win condition. I'm very excited to see how they work with this double shield, especially with the Pharah, but no Mercy. That's a new for me, Maybe the Ana is just there to kind of consistently heal. It's no damage boost, but hey, it works.
Now, I'm gonna be honest. I don't know if I'm 100% on board with that one. The Pharah with no the Pharah with no brim, the Pharah with the Mercy,
Yeah.
I mean, even with a Zen, maybe you can do it because you can just kind of set it and forget it. That's kind of the name of the Harmony Orb. Set it, you forget it, and the healing just goes through. But now you're going to have to really rely on this Ana hitting the shots. I mean, or Captain Killock just taking out Ratchet.
Yeah, they didn't have their diva early on, so this is just one big poke fest, and honestly, Ace, Seth, they are going to thrive on it. I mean, just look, they find out Min during the massive poke fight, and without that speed boost to break through, you're relying on a pull or something to kind of break through, but the big problem comes down to the fact that, well, Siena have so much control on top of this high ground. It's not really going to be looking fine. They are playing lower down, so it's not going to be too much of an issue. However, look how slow they are. The Harrison, the Turtle, Hunter is going to be knocked into that corner, and they all have to slow dump-o-de-dump, try to break through, but look at all that CC. It's what everybody hates in Overwatch, and that's a reason why. Just absolutely breaks down. Now they are split from their unit. We're seeing the rest of the tanks push forward, hoping to start melting them down. And with that anti, I mean, that's just a beautiful way to signify that the fight's over. You're able to shut them down. Far Mercy's only going to last for a bit longer. Finding the Cassidy isn't going to be too much of an issue. However, there is a spawn camp opportunity.
Yeah, and for those at home, I believe at the top, I believe it's Siena 1-0 and not St. Peter's 1-0. That's a little thing that will get fixed there. But Siena here holding strong so far. They almost have that nano down as well. That can go onto this Pharah and kind of give the confidence to Barrage, but ooh, early Barrage here from Ratchet's going to do work.
Absolutely beautiful barrage. They don't respect Ratchet. They don't pay attention, and it sets up for the barrage ult charge to come in. And that's a big punishment on the side of Siena. They're definitely going to be regretting that, and especially this stagger. I just feel more bad that the Ana isn't instantly dying. It's like one of those moments where you're yelling at your team, I'm trying to die, but it's not going to be happening. They do have ultimates in their favor, so we'll have to see what's going to happen, especially with these two early picks.
Yeah, right now, swapping, not swapping, but that Diva is going to do a lot of work into Ratchet, especially when there's a lot less space for them to kind of maneuver, but CJ going to get taken out there, and I think it's kind of showing off here that Pharah without any kind of a pocket, whether it be Harmony or a Mercy Beam, doesn't last very long in the sky when you have multiple people with hit scan weapons looking at him, so there you go. I think the swap is more than warranted.
I mean, even then, they didn't have the nano. When it comes to this next push, they're investing a lot, but they're not really having too many targets to go after. The window used very early, but the Vice are not going to be getting any value. It's only working out because Ace jumps down, same with Sestry, just hoping to kind of peel in, and they punish themselves. Now we're going to be seeing St. Peter's thrive a little bit more, start to get further in the Streets phase, but they do lose two. This means there's an opportunity for a recontest.
Yep, recontest can come through here. They're going to have to be fast, though. The tanks are already here. Diva can look for the touch and already going to go through. This touch...
They're not able to peel out, stop that barrage. Look at that Ratchet helping the team fight, shutting down the tanks before it becomes a problem, and that's basically a free capture. And something I do want to point out to you, worse, is these supports on the side of Siena. Look, do you know how long they've been holding them? For 6 years, alright? I promise you 6 years.
Not as long as it's been for the Overwatch 2 development, I think. They're probably going to have them when Overwatch 2 comes out as well, so that's something to look forward to for Overwatch 2. We're going to finally get these ults coming out, but in all seriousness, they have to go faster. These are the fastest charging ults on your team right now, and you need to be getting them off consistently in fights. It's all about tempo in this game a lot of the time, and right now, you need to play a much faster tempo, and the ults are a very key part of that, but you're just not doing it.
Get in. Yep, we see that nano come in, but the shatter! Managing to find them out, the anti's going to be helping for a little longer, but they're not able to land a counter of their own. The high noon especially making sure that they solidify any chance, you know, for that victory before they stress out saying, oh no, we might lose.
Yep, shatter. Going to be combined with that high noon. It's going to do a lot of work right there. I'm seeing it that Ana might be swatching off to a Lucio, perhaps. They were working back to spawn, but they could just be looking for an angle. No, going to be a Mercy instead, looking to get a pocket down on the CJ Paul. I think mirroring basically 4 characters on St. Peter's right now. I don't know if that's exactly the play, but I guess they're considering they don't really want to be walking forward fast with that Lucio. They want to play a little bit more of a stagnant composition with this Ashe, play for this Bob.
I mean, I'll definitely give you that, but they have the visor, so it's not going to be too much of an issue. I think the big problem comes on the fact that Ace is going to be stalled back for a little bit longer. They don't really get to pick off of it. This is where they're now relying on that tactical visor, plus Ratchet on the Doomfist. They're punching and managing to actually get a lot of value, though. Not sure walking into your opponent's backline is going to be working to find that bomb placed into the middle of the point. Bob isn't going to be able to contest, but is going to be in that poke fight. Luckily, though, the Reds managing to come back, so St. Peter's are going to have an opportunity to push it further, especially with this big stagger. The Baptiste able to place that immortality, giving them a few more seconds. That Res helping a lot, but the slam not going to be able to kill off. They use the high noon, but it gets canceled out. Ratchet able to find out the Ash just to be able to benefit for a little bit longer, but look at this, St. Peter's, they're losing their team faster than they can gain them back, plus with the Valkyrie, that Mercy's basically an infinite flyer and an infinite gunner, and is freely contesting on to that point. There is just nothing left for the side of St. Peter's, yet they still refuse to disengage. That window now being invested, we see Ratchet get melted down immediately, and that's how you lose a fight on the verge, and yet they still choose to kind of fight back in. I mean, Sellout's not dying, and with the kind of move back of Deepman, I'm glad to see them move back. However, they lost a lot of time and ult charge due to that.
Yeah, I mean, there was just such a staggered fight and such a split fight as well. It was just kind of, you have your Doomfist kind of waddle into the back line, get picked out, then it starts going everywhere, ults thrown out every single side. Seth3 just decides their life to spawn, they want to swap, but now it's going to put the rest of their team under a lot of pressure. They only have the Shatter to rely on.
You're absolutely right, though. Ace was managing to pop it last time. They lose Ratchet really early. Combining the window with the visor would work fine if the enemies just weren't behind a wall, especially when you throw your bomb. It's not going to be getting too much value now. That Shatter plays your Ryan looking at the opposite angle, not going to be able to peel, and yet Ace is dead before Deepman hits the wall, making sure that they stay alive. Now CJ is getting away with a lot of damage, coming close to that Blossom, but able to survive for a little bit longer, though the backline not looking as good. Deepman didn't have any healing in that scenario. Now it's going to be one big struggle, as with less than a minute, they basically have to recontest, come back, and try to break through when they've given their opponents so much, time and ability to set up.
Yeah, and it's still going right now. You're going to have the mines available for Seth3. Going to be trying to throw them in the backside. Looking for this good engage right now. Good slam as well. Those mines are going to ring true. And the backline can be even under more pressure as these cooldowns get back up for this ball. And they can start getting even more kills right now. Right into the mines they go. And Seth3 is doing a really good job on this ball. Despite it being kind of an unoptimal pick, they've kind of just stuck on it because they've been close to mines and now back again close to mines. So we'll probably be seeing this ball for a little bit while. Even if we shouldn't really be seeing it like that. I mean, 2 seconds to touch. They're finally going to get it. Min is going to finally get that on. Instantly killed out. But that should be all.
The steam falling down in the end as we see Siena very much stabilized, and I'm fairly impressed with the way they did it, making sure not to panic, as they're going to be able to stop that on second point, which is a pretty sizable win condition if you ask me. I think you're going to have a lot of stability now. You don't have to really worry too much anymore.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a good push, all things considered, from St. Peter's, but I kind of wonder how this defense will go. I want to see... I mean, honestly, I like the Orisa character. The Sigma character is pretty cool as well.
Weird.
I mean, Sigma's fun, bro. Sigma's the... Okay, Sigma
Yeah,
in a
but you said
pure risk
Orisa.
setting... Okay, Orisa's fun as well. I don't care. You are talking to a
I understand why you call
connoisseur.
yourself worst.
Yes, you're talking to a connoisseur, aka I play every character except Hog. That character is not fun. That character is just boring.
What?
Yeah, Hog is boring. You just play as a big fat flanker. You play Among Us the
Alright.
entire time.
Chad, hit the ratio.
Dude, you are just playing. You are actually just trying to play Among Us in Overwatch. It's just really weird. But we do see Orisa, we do see Sigma. But I think both those characters really will fit this style, and it's gonna be really hard, especially if Siena rolls out on this. They probably won't, but if they do roll out on this, I think it's gonna be very hard for them to find space and angles. No, they're just having a little bit of a party there in spawn, getting the Pachamaris out and everything. And this could be okay. They're just gonna roll out on this. Okay, very cool. My rank games are coming to life.
Yeah, you can't hate it. Haters will say Haters will say it's scripted and or fake, but I mean, I love how this is going to work. Though it is going to be a big problem as we see the double shield already set up. They have to play on this point, and what an anti to land through the shield! There's not much they can do besides stay in that immortality, but losing out your Orisa basically means that you only have a 6 shield, and they are already breaking it. It's not going to be looking too great with that Hog managing to melt you down. And what did you say about Hog?
Not fun.
Acing it. Look at that, being able to pump in that damage and now push a little bit further. They might be able to stagger some people.
I don't think my point about Hog was proven or disproven there. I think it was kind of a unfortunate situation where their tanks don't layer their cooldowns correctly, they don't layer their shields properly, and they don't kind of double shield. How it was back for a long time was a very kind of like a rhythm game of you're just like kind of going through, cycling through your I don't know, he just dropped into 5 people. If he walks out of this alive, I will be amazed. He just walks out alive. Okay.
Oh yeah, Soldier's able to get a 2K in the backline.
I don't know. That's a little sus. Like I said, he's just playing Among Us right now.
Yeah,
he's kind of waddling.
Just looking to assassinate. I think this is a bigger problem in St. Peter's because they don't exactly know what to do. Definitely that Bale is going to get a chance to move up, but look at that. Sell out dangerously low. They have to use the immortality to the high noon issues. They're able to find out life, so now you're going to be looking a lot more secure, especially with a so dangerously low. But gets the nano and the whole Hog looking to burst down. How is he not dead? Especially with the visor now popped in as a last-minute ultimate. Able to save this fight truly before it fell down, but just the tank's alive, going up against the DPS and the Sigma. I don't really think this is going to be looking too good. They have to contest if they want a chance to be able to stop it, but look at that, Orisa getting assassinated in the backline. Ana returning into the fight. The only person left is going to be Deeper Man with the Gravitic Flux, but with no chance to pop it out. That's going to be over 5 minutes, turning into the second point.
Calling this guy Deeper Man this entire time? His name is Deer Man.
Don't worry about it.
Deer Man 1234, put some respect, as they now have the Flux available. This is kind of their time. You've kind of been staggered out since that first point. Ever since that first pick came through, you've been staggered out. So now is your time to kind of reset, chill out. It's time to hold this for 5 minutes, because it's the only way you're going to win this map and not set yourself down 2-0 in the series. So what you want to do, you want to kind of get your ults going first. You want to be the first ones to engage here. Pull Flux, pull window, whatever it is. That's kind of what I want to see. Put some on the back foot. They have the usuals to back up. Now you can start walking forward.
But it's a lot of ultimates invested, a lot of resources, and they're basically going to do the same, but they break your immortality afterwards, and, well, that's going to be the big problem. It's going to be one massive contest, and the advice you gave had Caster cursed them to oblivion.
No.
They do have a chance to touch, but, I mean, it's going to be slim.
Hog diff, I guess. I guess Hog's just the better cat. No, but
Yeah,
really what happens there is it's kind of, it's like you get flashbanged, you know? You're like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's going on. The Hog comes out. You don't really understand what's going to happen. You don't understand how to play against it completely. I assume they haven't been practicing much against Hog Sigma. I mean, I see that every single day because every ranked game I have a Hog OTP on my team, so I have to go Sigma. So I mean, I've seen that way too much. You can point at me all you want. You can call me crazy all you want. I'm just telling you. Hog ruins the games for a lot of people because it's just chaos.
Scratching my cheek. I was scratching my cheek. I was a little distracted. Yeah. You know, personal bias aside, worst. Okay, not everybody can lose to a Hog, unlike me. Hard stuck plat. We are back to that match point scenario, and I gotta say, Siena, they have a lot of room to just kind of relax. They're very confident with how they're pushing in, and there's really not too much to worry about. I think when it comes down to it, St. Peter's, especially with this break, they're going to need a moment to take a deep breath in, take a deep breath out, and figure out a new plan, especially new styles of compositions that you want to try. So make sure you stay tuned in, because this may be a reverse sweep. It may not. You'll have to find out. Welcome back, everybody. I always tell you that it's a short break because it is. We want to make sure that you get back into the fight, especially when out of all the next maps we go to, it's going to be that TCP. Though, if you're a regular here, I think you'll know that. We're still the same people as always. Username Intel, Roadhog Hater, Burstcast here. And, well, I'm very excited to see how we go in, especially on a map like Volskaya.
I feel like you're acting like you're not in the minority of the community here. I think you are... Like, I think you're overrating how many people actually like Roadhog as a character.
Okay, a little.
I think you think people like that character. I don't want to think you understand that. No, character's actually quite hated. For a good reason, I might say.
I don't go on Reddit.
I don't go on Reddit either. I simply am attuned to the community perfectly. I've never been wrong. But yeah, we're going to be coming in here. Siena is looking for the clean 3-0 sweep here on Volskaya. Definitely, I think they can do it. They've showed off a little bit more coordination in terms of when they're committing on targets with certain abilities and characters, and really their ultimates have just been used in a more efficient and higher tempo manner that has given them the edge this entire series so far. I don't think that'll drop off for Siena. I find it very difficult to see a very large drop off in performance from a half-minute break, basically, like a 30-second break was it felt like. I mean, I don't think that was actually how long it was, but it felt like 30 seconds. So I don't think the level of performance is going to dip down that far. So should be more of the same, but we'll see if St. Peter's has any strats for this particular map.
I'll give you that. That's definitely fair. It wasn't too long, but, you know, when it's Overwatch, like, 5 seconds is considered 5 minutes. You know, that's how long or quick these fights can take. So I'll definitely give you that, but I feel more this was a well-needed breath of air, fresh air. However, that's really not going to matter too much until we get into this map, until we see what changes are going to happen. I feel Hollywood, you know, it's very similar to Volskaya, especially when it comes down to these compositions. Though you have a lot more freedom with ideas that you want to work with. You can obviously elaborate on that, but, you know, Roadhog still works here.
Yep, and for Siena, we're going to see an interesting composition. It's very spammy, but they go for the Rhine Diva instead. I assume they want to try and hold space at the front by the choke. But that's not really a strategy that is used all that often these days, because at the choke you can gotta get overshadowed or you get overflanked by a Pharah that can go above, start shooting your backline. Your Rhine can't really back up quick enough to protect them. But I think to offset that, they've gone for the Moira, who is more survivable. But this will be interesting to see how Siena can accomplish this, because it's going to be a tough task, to say the least.
I'll give you that. Though having the soldier is that consistent damage, we're already looking to see Ace's shield being done dangerously low due to this poke, and Killdog not being able to survive long term against this Pharah is going to fall down, and this is where St. Peter's, they have so much room to start pushing forward. The D.Va split off. It is not looking good. Ace does want to move forward and try to put in as much damage as possible, but having to retreat, that's basically the name of the game, especially when Ratchet is inside your backline, putting pressure onto your D.Va, and you are not looking too good. Finding out Hunter does look like a bright side. Same with Deerman. That's what looks nice. However, Ratchet's still free in the sky, living in your head rent-free, is able to just walk in, build up Barrage, and help the team thrive for that victory. Though Killog really just does not like Pharah, I'm guessing. They really want to try to bring this back. 3v2 is not always going to be that prime scenario that you're looking for, and honestly, St. Peter's, they're pretty much ready to cap this point. There's not much of a contest here.
There's only one pushing on point so far. It's very slow. They're gonna get their Reinhardt back in very shortly. Nano's getting done very early. They can kite this out. This soldier's been doing a very good job of just staying alive. Who can touch him? It's gonna have to be the Pharah, and that's about it. But the Pharah is gone. So this is actually very doable for the recontest.
Yeah, the grab does land onto the side of Siena, but they're still looking good. The jump shatter being punished, the visor hoping to just make that difference, finding out the Zarya, finding out the soldier. It's so many. How do you bring it back in that type of scenario? If St. Peter's had just stayed on that point for a little longer, they could have had it, except they let themselves fall to a team kill.
So you only have your Zarya touching point there. You have both your supports kind of hide back in cubby or in hut, some people call it. And what happens is the soldier's gonna stay high ground. No one can touch him. You're gonna have to really rely on Ana hitting their shots and Zarya right clicks to really push them out and force them out. But with their biotic pad, it's not really gonna do much to them. So the soldier stays up there for the entire time, builds up their ultimate, and on the recontest has a free angle. This is why D.Va is so important, is that they can force DPS off those kinds of angles and really contest them instead of just letting them have their way.
Yeah, but I mean, look, the bomb goes out, puts pressure onto the shield. I mean, they're not even able to put it up to help Hunter. They lose that, have to pop the res, which I mean isn't too bad, but that's a big resource gone. Though the visor shatter combo is beautiful, able to land down, hoping to just melt the rest, but you lose Ratchet. Siena still able to stabilize, and well, Deerman is not looking too great, gonna be falling down. The Riptire now built, the rest of their team hoping to just bring it back, with St. Peter's not having the kills in their spots. I mean, when you use that nano, you're hoping that it's gonna get that, 6K or something similar to it, but unfortunately, they're not able to land it.
And I think a big issue that I don't know if St. Peter's fully has grasped right now is that the reason why you don't really want to run these kind of tanks with a Pharah Mercy is that you want to put the resources into the Pharah, and the tanks that you're running want resources into them. Zarya wants to get pocketed, Reinhardt wants to get pocketed, because they are going to be the ones that are going to walk in, start doing damage, specifically that Zarya when they get charged up, and Reinhardt when he's under a lot of fire wants a lot of resources into them. You usually have to run low economy tanks. Those are like D.Va, those are like Sigma is very low economy, Ball is the ultimate low economy, but you're just not doing that, and so it's very hard for you to get.
But look at that beautiful anti after the charge. It's a big punish, even if the Riptire is able to find two. Oh no, the Coalescence finds another. Same with the Visor. They managed to win and stop anybody from touching. Only 2 ticks were captured for St. Peter's University. That looked good, but unfortunately it seemed they just weren't able to capitalize, and they get punished due to the kind of wavering ults that pop in. Not looking too great, but I mean, they do still have a chance to hold, and they at least put themselves in a spot where they cannot draw.
I am confident in Siena to close this out. A lot of the time, though, it can be very difficult because you're like, guys, it's only 80%. We got this. You start easing off the gas. You have to keep it up the entire series, from minute 0 to the last bell, the last little sound effect that goes off when you're winning the victory, screeching out. You have to put 100% into it the entire time. Siena cannot let off the gas. If they end up getting held here and lose this map, that's a big confidence booster to St. Peter's and a big morale debuff to Siena. And a lot of time in esports in general, in any kind of team environment, morale is such a huge thing. Is going to make you play at your peak or 200% worse. So you really have to keep that up the entire time. Right now, Siena's feeling really good, but you can't start being like messing around, or you can't try and be like, okay, we got this. I don't have to be 100% as focused as I need to be. So you got to keep that up and you're going to try and cap this point, because you do this, you go home with a 3-0. If you don't, you potentially have a reverse sweep on your hands.
I agree. However, I mean, Ratchet is on that Sombra, and I like Sombra. I may hate Sombra, but I like Sombra, especially when it comes down to the hacks. But I feel the bigger issue is going to be that Wrecking Ball, who's that consistent problem, being as annoying as possible. They still decide to engage in Sombra, freely able to escape, but that's a lot of resources put down as they got distracted. They are now walking in, Hack falling onto the Reaper, not going to be able to Wraith out, and yet they lose their Soldier 76. That's not going to be good. This is a 5v6. They get the Hack onto the Wrecking Ball, but that charge forces the immortality just to be able to peel in for a little longer. Kill is still finding the picks, and with the support now stuck inside the Mega Health Pack room, not really able to help get that hack or any survivability tactics. It's not looking too great. That first tick gets captured, and that's basically a team kill, with the payload, well, point being so far back. They even popped the Coalescence just to be a little dirty, and we see Siena College, they're going to be able to finish this off with a 3-0.
Yep, and right there, Siena was just on top of it the entire time, and I think St. Peter's really has to, after a very strong start for them, I believe. I mean, they were 6-2 coming into the 6-1 before the split started. Very strong start for them, and they've now dropped 2 3-0s in a row to a team that was slated to, projected to be lower in power level than them, or at least in terms of standings, and they have it's been a very convincing fashion for the other side as well. It's not like it's been close 3-0s, like one fight decided the entire thing. It's been very, very, very in one-sided favor. I think St. Peter's really needs to look at themselves in their identity as a team and commit to something, because right now they seem like a scattered team that's trying to lean towards 2 different or 3 different kind of ideas in their own compositions every single time, and you really have to clean that up, because like I said, ape strong together, if you're not of that one mind, if you're not of that one kind of identity, you're gonna end up just doing those 2 things worse than you would just do one thing.
Honestly, you make an amazing point, and when it comes down to it, St. Peter's, they have to kind of work on themselves a little bit more, be a little bit more prepared if they want to bring it back more in the season. But you still got to give love to Siena, as they do manage to take the victory. They're going to be looking stronger. I think a lot of people are going to be saying, wow, this team has improved. But at least when it comes down to these folks, it's going to be gone for a little bit, you know. They're not going to have too much time. But doesn't mean it's over just yet. So stay tuned. We'll be right back after this quick break.